Here we are just outside the nation's capital in Landover, Maryland, where the Bills and the Redskins are about to match up. Both teams 2-0 here thus far in the preseason. Ray Bentley alongside Steve Tasker to bring you the action today. And Doug Marrone has done an outstanding job in his first few weeks here, at least out on the field. Steve, he's done a great job since the time he's been hired, but we've got to see it here the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been one of those times where he's done everything a head coach is expected to do. He's given his team a chance to win, and they look well coached and prepared to play every week. And across the way, everybody knows who that guy is, Mike Shanahan. Trying to get his team ready to play in a season where they made it to the playoffs with a rookie quarterback a year ago. A lot of controversy, a lot of moving parts about Robert Griffith III playing or not playing in the preseason. Mike Shanahan deciding not to let him risk it, particularly not today against the Buffalo Bills.
See Marquise Goodwin back to receive the Kai Forbath kickoff as we get set to get underway here on a beautiful day here outside the nation's capital. I was worried it might be a little hot, Steve. It's not too bad.
Well, we're in the shade with a nice breeze.
That's true. Here we go. Underway. Forbath sends this one deep, 9 yards deep, and Goodwin decides to take the knee and bring out the Bills offense here. Here you are with that offense brought to you by Tim Hortons. Cordy Glenn, Colin Brown, Eric Wood, Craig Urbick, and Eric Pears up front. C.J. Spiller, Frank Summers, Scott Chandler, Stevie Johnson, and T.J. Graham. Johnson and Graham, neither of them played last week. It's good to see them in the lineup here as the quarterback steps out, and it will be Kevin Cobb.
We stepped up to for the production meeting yesterday, and the first thing Doug Marrone said was very, very healthy. Of course, E.J. Manuel not healthy, but most of the roster ready to go.
First play, they take a shot downfield, and there's a flag that comes out. T.J. Graham got tangled up a little bit there as he was running down the sidelines free. Bakari Rambo, the rookie for the Redskins, might have incurred a flag there.
I think it might have been Josh Wilson. I don't know if it's 26, 29.
26.
Yeah. And he did. He just reached out and grabbed him. As Walt Coleman gives us the call, is a good call. T.J. Graham got separation. Watch as he kind of shifts gears, and he reaches out right there and just tries to get.
They had to.
He had to. T.J. Graham was going to catch that for a touchdown if the guy didn't grab him.
So a huge penalty, and the Bills go to the ground with Spiller, and he'll pick up 3 off the right side. D'Angelo Hall with the tackle. Bills offense in that hurry-up tempo that we've gotten used to a little bit so far here in the preseason. Took a little while, but it is a fun, exciting brand of football that Nathaniel Hackett has brought as the new offensive coordinator. Play action. Quick pass through the middle, dropped. It was intended for Stevie Johnson. Looked like he let him a little bit too much, and it falls incomplete. Brian Arakpo there for the defense.
Yeah, they had the bunch formation to Cobb's left and brought Stevie Johnson by himself on the right. He came across the formation, ended up in a void area, and Cobb put a little too much pepper on that throw. It was really close pass, short pass, but it just had too much on it.
Brings up a 3rd and 7 now for the Bills in their opening possession. Cobb with time, now loses time and runs right into a sack. That was Brandon Jenkins. It looked to me like Cobb didn't have to go anywhere, Steve. He ran into it.
He got skittish in the pocket. He should have stayed right where he was. You see right there, you see the flash right there. He's got time in the pocket. He runs right towards Eric Pierce, and Jenkins just grabs his leg. It looked like Cobb could have stayed right in the pocket and just decided to try and break, contain, and make something happen outside, and it didn't work out. He ran right into that sack. You're right.
Sean Powell comes on to punt it. Richard Crawford deep inside his own 10 to return for the Redskins. Crawford takes it at his own 3, makes one man miss, and then gets drilled up at about the 14-yard line as Marcus Doughton makes himself a nice special teams play.
It was well covered by the Bills. It looked like he was going to have some room off to his right, but the contain man sprinted to the sideline and scared him off away from the wall of blockers, and he turned right back into the pursuit. Took took a really nice shot as a result. That's always fun when you get the guy turns right into you.
You got RG1 starting at quarterback for the Redskins. RG3 out. They're not going to let him play till the regular season starts. So Rex Grossman, as you might have saw last Monday night when the Redskins played, Kirk Cousins injured his foot. He's the normal backup for RG3. So they go down to their number 3 quarterback. Rex Grossman gets the call with Alfred Morris behind him in the backfield. Set up a little tight end pass over the middle. That one is complete to Logan Paulson. Paulson picks up the first down before Bradham and Ron Brooks can bring him down. Take a look at the rest of that Redskins offense. Big guys up front. Williams, Leichenstagger, Montgomery, Chester, and Columbus. In the backfield, Alfred Morris, Darrell Young, Fred Davis, the tight end, Pierre Garcon, and Joshua Morgan are the receivers. Zone play to the left. Morris gets strung out, makes a decent cut, and picks up 6 off the left side.
Yeah, it's a good job of patience against that Bills defense. You look here at the front 4.
Bills starting defense brought to you by Tim Hortons. As you see those guys, Carrington, Darius, Williams, and Williams. Linebackers, Manny Lawson and Nigel Bradham on the outsides. Kiko Alonso, the rookie, in the middle. McKelvin and Gilmore are the corners. Williams and Searcy, the safeties. 2nd and 4. Grossman hits the seam and it's incomplete. Oh, almost picked off. Brooks stepped right in front of the receiver. Santana Moss almost took it the other way.
That was a throw behind Santana Moss, which gave Brooks an opportunity to step into it. Rex Grossman throws it. You'll see Moss has to reach back. Can't do it. If he would have been led by that, that might have been a big play, but that was a bad throw by Grossman, and Brooks almost took advantage of it.
Brings up the 3rd down and 4 here in the initial possession for the Redskins. Just inside their own 30. Bills look like they're bringing blitz, and they do. Grossman tries to hit the back out of the backfield, and he does. Roy Helu Jr. had himself a nice matchup, took advantage of it as he beats Brian Scott for the first down.
Yeah, Brian Scott got caught looking in the backfield right as the play happens. He kind of just gets caught with his feet towards the line of scrimmage instead of turning his hips and running with Helu. And that allows Grossman to just lob it over his head to the open man.
So the Redskins get into Bills territory down to the 48. And Morris takes the handoff to the left side. Makes a man miss with a spin move, but he'll only pick up a couple as the Bills come up to make the tackle. That missed tackle by Nigel Bradham. Bradham gets shook here.
They run a misdirection. Watch as he stops, and then this little dipsy-do there is Bradham. Not all bad, though. It does take a lot of time for a running back to do a little 360 spin like that, which lets the pursuit catch up. It ends up being only a 2.5, 3-yard gain. But Bradham in the right spot, just can't lose track of the guy.
2nd and 7. Lead play to the left as Morris gets behind his fullback and gets very close to the first down before Corbin Bryant spins him out of bounds.
Yeah, it's well done by the Redskins up front, sealing off the end of the line of scrimmage and giving the lead blocker a chance to get out around the corner. Just a quick handoff lead play, like I said, just kind of a sweep, an old-fashioned sweep, that if you can get that line of scrimmage and the edge doesn't get set by the defense right away, it's going to be a nice gain no matter what, and Redskins turned it upfield for the first down.
Another first down for Washington at the Bills 37. Keep it on the ground. Alfred Morris on the right side. Negligible gain on the play as Corbin Bryant makes the stop for our ECMC keys to the game. Let's go down to the sidelines and Mike Catalana.
Yeah, we talked to Doug Marrone about what he wanted to see, and one of the ECMC keys to the game certainly is stopping the run. They've had a difficult time so far on this first series. The other thing he wants to see them do is match the physicality on offense. He wants to see them match up well with the Redskins. And he says if they're keeping score, might as well try to win. It's worked twice so far. They're trying to make it 3 in a row today against Washington.
7th play of the drive for the Redskins. With time, Grossman throws it up, and it is caught down inside the 10-yard line by Fred Davis. The tight end, the Bills secondary lost him back there.
Yeah, Aaron Williams got caught looking in the backfield. They had a triple threat, a short guy, a middle guy, and a deep guy. Over in this area, they're going to have a short player, a deep player, and a long one. And you see there, Aaron Williams got caught looking at the middle guy, or the short guy, and did not get deep enough. Stack of 3 receivers, and they hit the middle one.
First and goal from the 7 for the Redskins. They throw it up into the corner, and that is incomplete. Intended there for Pierre Garçon, and Stephon Gilmore with the good coverage.
Yeah, Stephon Gilmore covered that extremely well. The crowd wants a pass interference. They're not going to get it. Stephon Gilmore is quickly becoming not just a player that the Bills consider their #1 corner, but a guy who can cover just about anybody they want him to.
Might have got away with a little something there. I don't know if it was catchable. Brings up second and goal from the 7 now for Washington. Slant pass to the inside, and that is a touchdown to Pierre Garçon as Gilmore couldn't cut that route off.
It looks like Gilmore was going to pass him to the inside guy right over here. Watch as they get. See, Gilmore jumps to the outside. And he passed him off. He was passed, or it was passed off to Gilmore. And that was a tough route to defend. You need some help underneath. If you're going to have your corners off in that situation, somebody's got to get underneath that route.
So after a 10-play drive, the Redskins get on the board first here, and Forbath adds the extra point. With 9:38 to go here in the first quarter, the Redskins take a 7-0 lead over the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo will get the ball back when we come back after this network timeout.
Washington, the Redskins have taken a 7-0 lead, and they score in the red zone, and that's something Doug Marrone has really stressed. Up until that drive, only 3 red zone opportunities for the defense. They'd given up just 1 score. That's a better performance than we've seen here in the past, but now it's 50%, 2 out of 4, as the Redskins punch it in from the 4, guys.
Thank you, Mike. You saw the 10-play, 86-yard drive. The 31-yard pass to the tight end, Davis, was the big play there, and it led to the 7 points as Goodwin is set to return this Forbath kickoff. First time Forbath put it 9 yards deep in the end zone. Goodwin just decided to take a knee. Hits this one a little shorter. Goodwin takes it at his own 3. Got some room. Marquise Goodwin up to the 34. A 31-yard return for the rookie Goodwin out of Texas. And we'll take a break before Kevin Cobb leads the offense back out. A network timeout. Bills trail 7-zip. New York Lottery inside the numbers. Play take 5 from the New York Lottery today. Hey, you never know.
One of the things about this no-huddle offense, they get a lot of plays run, and they're making a lot of yards per play. The thing, though, they're splitting it up. Almost 50-50 rush to pass. It doesn't matter if you're running fast. You don't always throw it. But that's over 150, over 160 plays that they've run in 2 games, and that is a ton of plays, and that's only one benefit of running the no-huddle.
Whistles blow, stopping this play before it starts, and that'll be against the Bills, a false start. They'll start 1st and 15.
Ball start, 11, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
T.J. Graham got the early start. I'm not quite sure where he was headed off to.
Considering it was a run play.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, those are the things that really hurt you. That's unforced errors. They didn't even get a chance to snap the ball.
They'll hand it off up the middle. Will Cobb. C.J. Spiller gets a yard or 2 before he runs into some trouble there in the form of Ryan Kerrigan.
The Bills' offensive line trying to find a way to push the D line of the Redskins around. They're a big physical bunch, are the Redskins. You know, those teams, the NFC East, always seem to be those big, heavy guys up front. No matter what their team looks like offensively, they're tough to push around.
Cobb zips it out, and this one is dropped. Incomplete, intended for Spiller. Cobb starts 0 for 2 thus far. And, you know, it's interesting, Steve, you talked about that. And I was excited to see, I am excited to see how the Bills match up in a more physical type of football team, because I don't consider Indianapolis that type of a football team, nor Minnesota.
Well, it certainly is one of the things that Doug Marrone wanted to talk about. I mean, he wants to see how his guys hold up. Certainly they have looked physical against those other two teams you mentioned, but can they do it every week?
3rd and 12. Cobb underneath. That one is complete to Woods. Woods fights his way up past the 40, but he'll end up a couple yards
short.
It's a late
flag face mask it's going to be as the back judge, the field judge, runs in from the deep in the secondary. He threw that flag late, and as Woods went down, somebody grabbed his mask.
Personal foul. Grabs him in the face mask, number 39. Defense. 15 yards from the end of the play. First down.
Paul Coleman lets you know what's going on. David Anderson with the penalty. Here's the look at it, Steve.
It's a nice run after catch by Woods, getting a little something. You see there, that's an easy call, no question. That was on Amerson, the cornerback out of North Carolina State for the Redskins, who got called.
So it puts the Bills into Redskin territory for the second time here today. Little sweep, actually bootleg. How about that, Kevin Cobb?
Wow.
He fooled the old eyes up here. Bakari Rambo makes the stop after the naked boot from Cobb.
I was watching C.J. Spiller run off the other side of the field, run to the other side of the field, and I didn't know Cobb had the ball. That's a great play fake.
Freddie Jackson in the lineup now. He'll take the handoff up the middle on that read option play and runs into trouble in the form of Rambo again.
Bills running those plays fast and furious. The Redskins doing their best to run guys on and off the field, getting it done here, and it's really crucial for a defense. You've got to be able to substitute guys up front to stay fresh against a quick offense that's running no huddle.
3rd and 3 for Buffalo. Cobb finds some room to scramble and picks up the first down, gets it inside the 30 before London Fletcher, former Bill, can track him down.
London Fletcher still chasing guys around after so long in the National Football League. 16th year out of John Carroll, still making tackles in the preseason.
240 consecutive regular season starts for Fletcher. Little comeback screen to Woods, and Woods will get stopped at about the 25-yard line by Reed Doty.
Manages to make something out of a tough catch that should have been a little easier than that. Cobb let it go a little quicker because he was getting pressure. Woods had to make a little extra effort on the catch and turned what could have been a bigger gain than 4 yards into just that.
Brings up 2nd and 5. Spiller behind the guard. One-on-one on the outside, beats the man. C.J. Spiller down to the 6 before he's knocked out of bounds.
Oh. Outstanding run play by C.J. Spiller. Had a missed tackle by Amerson out at the corner. Watch this. Whoop. And I mean, that's why everybody's so excited about C.J. Spiller. That's why they want to give him the football a lot. That's why he's really impressed in the preseason. Every time he gets it, you think he's going to go.
He can make you look awful silly. This time he pounds the middle on a 1st and goal from the 5, gets a couple, maybe down to the 2.5 here for the Bills as they trail 7-0, 6:24 and counting here in the first quarter.
As they continue to go no huddle, it's really the crux of this Redskin defense is right down inside on this offensive line. Right in here, those guys are very big, very difficult to move.
They moved him that time.
Sure did.
Spiller into the end zone for the touchdown for Buffalo. Good push up there in the middle, and Spiller now is down on the field, but limping a little bit, but he's going to make his way off. You don't want to see that. Bud Carpenter out there saying, easy, big fella.
Something happened right there. They realized right away something. It looks like somebody fell on him.
Well, Eric Wood, the center, had a tremendous block. Watch number 70 come out.
Get an idea of what happened here. I didn't see anything.
Did he get stepped on
Did
there?
not
Maybe
see
at the
anything.
End? That's what you hope. It was just the
last thing, and we said it in the open, the one key thing for the Bills in their running game, not only obviously is to keep C.J. Spiller healthy, but also Freddie Jackson. You don't want Freddie Jackson to go into week 1 with the Buffalo Bills thinking he's going to have to carry the football all year. Now certainly with the other running backs are going to be a factor as well. The Tashard Choice, Kendall Gaskins,
Zach Brown has been
Zach
impressive.
Brown has also been impressive, but those are not the guys that you're counting on to carry your offense. That guy there being helped up is.
Might be one of those rub a little dirt on it and you'll be okay deals. Let's hope.
Well, now he's not even limping. And I don't want to say anything, but everybody knows who the guys are that you got to keep healthy in the preseason. It's funny because C.J. Spiller had no sooner hit the ground than 4 red shirt and khaki pant guys, which is the medical staff of the Bills. 4 of those guys were halfway out on the field before the play was even blown dead.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen old Carp move that fast since you and I were around.
And Greg McMillan, Bud Carpenter, all those guys ran out there along with John Marzo. They know where their bread's buttered. Everybody does, so they wanted to make sure he was okay.
Dustin Hopkins on to attempt the point after try. He splits it, and with 6:06 to go here in the first quarter as a flag comes in late, looks like we're all tied up. Let's see what Mr. Coleman and his staff.
It's going to be
come up
offsides.
Offside, number 23 defense lined up in the neutral zone. That 5-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. The extra point is good.
D'Angelo Hall caught going offsides, doesn't affect the score. It's 7-7 here in the first quarter. We'll take a local timeout and check out that Bills D when we come back. Hopkins getting ready to tee it up after the Bills score a touchdown to tie things up here with 6:06 to go. A 10-play drive covering 66 yards, capped off by that 2-yard run by C.J. Spiller, who we hope is okay. Looked all right as we went to break, Steve.
Well, you can bet he's not going to get any more handoffs today on the football field. Doug Marrone saying, they're going to be careful with him. There's a couple of Mario Williams, Kyle Williams, who've been nicked up during the preseason. They're kind of going by feel with them. They're not going to play probably till the entire half here in the early going, but nevertheless, C.J. Spiller will be the first topic Doug Marrone has to address after this one.
Hopkins, with the benefit of the 5-yard penalty on this kickoff, should put it to the back of the end zone, and he does. Chris Thompson, no chance to bring that one back, and the Bills will come out, play some defense. We'll go down to the sidelines for more on the kicker, Dustin Hopkins. Here's Mike Catalano.
Yeah, Ray, they made the decision this week to cut Ryan Lindell and keep Dustin Hopkins, and what the Bills like about him, you saw it there, even with the 5-yard edge off the penalty. He can kick it deep. He can also kick long field goals. And Coach talked about when you get to the 37, 36-yard line, you need to be able to make that into points, and they think he has the leg to help him out with the long kicks.
Thank you, Mike. Rex Grossman at quarterback, shoots one into the seam, finds his tight end, Jordan Reed, and he is brought down by Leotis McKelvin after a 12-yard pickup. Nice to see Leotis McKelvin back playing today, Steve.
Yeah, no question. And also with McKelvin in there and also Stephon Gilmore on the other side, 2 gifted and athletic corners. I think the Redskins came into this game thinking and watching the games the Bills have already played this season with the pressure they've been able to bring. 3-step drops, very quick slants, not much of a drop back game for the Skins. They're getting the ball out of Grossman's hands.
Steiny hands it off to Roy Haluk Jr. with the cutback and runs into Kiko Alonso and gains a half a yard on the play.
Now that play was made by Manny Lawson on the outside. 8th-year guy out of NC State. Right out here, watch as he sets the corner of the defense as they try and run this sweep out towards him. He just gets up the field and pushes the lead blocker right back into the running back, and there's just nowhere for him to run. That's setting the edge. They got beat on a lead sweep earlier in the earlier drive. Lawson's not going to let it happen again.
2nd and 10, Grossman with pressure just throws it the outside, almost intercepted. A pure, just flat-out drop.
I got to tell you,
by Gilmore.
I know Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore is one of the few defensive players I know who can catch.
Hit him in a bad spot.
Well, look at the shadows of the players as this ball goes into Stephon Gilmore. The pressure's right in Grossman's face. The shadows, look, the ball's falling right down into his eyes.
The sun was in his eyes.
You see how the shadows are going right in the same direction the ball is. It's coming right out of the sun, I'm telling you.
Jerry Hughes with the pressure on that last one as the Bills blitz on 3rd and 10. Grossman with time completes it over the middle to Moss. Moss breaks a couple of tackles and he's off to the races. Forced out of bounds at the 25 as Stephon Gilmore finally runs him out. Gain of 40 on the play.
Yeah, the corners and defensive backfield. You see there, just missed. There's a try for the pick by Searcy, and he just can't get there. Great throw by Grossman, ends up turning into a big play as everybody just whiffs on that ball as it's in the air.
The key to that for the Redskins was the protection as Buffalo brought a couple of extra guys off the edge. Grossman had forever. Haley to the left side. He finds some room, shreds the Bills defense before Stephon Gilmore can bring him down after a roll of 12.
Man, you see on that long pass play that set up this drive and this red zone trip for the Redskins, the Bills end up with Searcy trying to guard Santana Moss, and that's what happens when you do bring pressure. One of the other edge to that double-edged sword is you might get some hits on the quarterback or some batted passes, but sooner or later your opponent may find themselves in a matchup they like. Santana Moss being guarded by Searcy is a matchup that the Redskins like.
1st and 10 now. High formation, and they hand it off to Haley Jr., faking the reverse, and he runs into Jerry Hughes and company, nowhere to go.
So Bill's doing a nice job right down inside with Darius. You see there also, that's Jay Ross, who's played very well in the preseason. Just two big bodies. If you can't push those two defensive tackles off the ball, you're going to have a hard time running inside.
Also one on the play, 2nd and 11 now for Washington. Grossman throws it out to his right side and completes it right in front of the Bills linebacker coming in there to Jordan Reed. Take it back, that was Darrell Young with the reception. And our yellow first down line technology for today's game is brought to you by Toyota. The Toyota August sales event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. Brings up 3rd and 7 now for Washington. All tied up here early in the first quarter, actually late in the first quarter, early in the ball game. Line stunt, got pressure, good pickup by Alonso, taking the dump off away, and Grossman just has to throw it out. Marcel Darius with the pressure.
Yeah, and that was a pressure force throwaway, no question. Grossman did the right thing. He had Darius coming right up in him and just got rid of it. From the bottom of your screen, you see Mario Williams, and then Darius, who pushed the guard back, allowing Mario the ability to come underneath, throws the guard off and comes right at Grossman, forcing the throw. Great play by Darius from down inside.
A little TE stunt works to perfection, and Forbath comes on to attempt a 28-yarder, and he drills it. So the Redskins come up with points in that drive. They take a 10-7 lead here late in the first quarter. Buffalo will get the ball back when we come back, trailing by 3. We'll take a local timeout. Perrone's group trailing 10-7 to the Washington Redskins. Forbath ready to kick this one off. Goodwin set to return.
Yeah, give him the news. We just heard from the Bills sideline. CJ is fine. All Bills fans are texting and tweeting and Facebooking. What's wrong with CJ Spiller? Well, we just got word nothing. As you can see him in there somewhere, just standing around with his helmet in his hand. He's 100%.
Goodwin, who almost busted that last kickoff return, got it out to the 34. Let's see if Forbath will try to kick it over his head this time.
Man, it's amazing how special teams has changed, obviously with the kickoff being moved up to the 35-yard line. A lot of kicks going deep, and a lot of kicks all over the National Football League are being brought out from 3, 5, 7 yards deep, 8 yards deep. I mean, it's amazing how things have changed.
This one about 7 yards deep, but Goodwin running sideways makes the good decision and takes the knee. So we'll take a network timeout. 10-7 Washington with the lead here late in the first quarter over the Bills. They have the ball when we return.
Back in Washington, where C.J. Spiller has been, well, C.J. so far, he took a pretty good hit there on that drive to the end zone, and then he eventually took it in the end zone, was down for a bit, but the team has confirmed he is fine, but he is out of the game now. Now, the other thing to note, right now, Kevin Cobb is out of the game. Jeff Toole in at quarterback. We'll try to get an update on what's going on with Cobb.
Thank you, Mike. Jeff Toole, undrafted rookie out of Washington State, has been outstanding thus far for the Bills in preseason. Goes play action, takes a shot here in his first down, and he completes it. T.J. Graham wins the battle over Josh Wilson, but there's a flag down.
They're going to call Graham for pass interference, offensive pass interference. That's coming back.
Speaking with Doug Marrone, he said, we're going to take some deep shots.
Number 11, offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
He said they had 3 of them scripted in the first 15 plays here today.
Watch as he gets to the outside, working against Josh Wilson.
That is a bad call. I'm sorry.
Unless, the official thinks he must have pushed him right in the middle of the back. I don't know.
No. Fred Jackson takes the handoff to the 13-yard line, and Bills have to overcome a tough break there. I didn't think T.J. Graham was guilty of anything other than making a good play.
Yeah, he just stopped and came back to the football, and Josh Wilson couldn't adjust. Jeff Toole, Doug Marrone was almost disgusted. He goes, now he's played so good.
Yeah, what do you
we
do,
can't.
right?
We got to use a roster spot on him. We can't put him on the practice squad. Somebody will snatch him up so quick at quarterback. When you got a guy that played as well as Toole has played for the Bills, somebody's going to grab him quickly. So they'll have to use him as a third quarterback for the season.
Dumps this one to Jackson out of the backfield. He'll take it up to the 18, a gain of 5 on the play. And you talked about Jeff Toole. He has a 130.1 QBR, and he's hit on 81% of his passes, 236 yards, 21 of 26, the raw numbers, a couple of touchdowns, no interceptions. It's been amazing how well he's played.
Yeah, he has. Doug Marrone said, the thing I'd like to see him do is maybe get a little bit physically stronger.
Flags come out. The Redskins started early. Let's see if they were drawn offside.
It looks like it's going to go against Buffalo.
7-7, offense, 5-yard penalty, still third down.
Cordy Glenn got called for twitching.
The hiccup.
Yeah, and then that's been a recurring thing here in the early going for Buffalo. Doug Marrone doesn't like it. These are unforced errors that have really put them in a hole and allowed the Redskins to hold on to the lead.
Second pre-snap penalty for the offense. They just go to the draw, and Freddie Jackson will take it up to the 19, and the punt team will head out onto the field here as the first quarter begins to wind down.
There's a really conservative play call, and that's probably a good thing. I think that was a series that got away from Buffalo because of unforced errors. You got, the pass interference call, which neither one of us had agreed with. But then you got 2 procedure penalties. I mean, you just can't make mistakes like that.
4th and 10. Powell comes out to punt it away. Richard Crawford back to return for Washington. High hanging kick. Crawford takes it at his own 26. Tries to double back and runs into a host of Buffalo Bills tacklers. A 52-yard punt, 4-yard return as Arthur Moats leads the charge on the coverage. Don't miss the excitement at Ralph Wilson Stadium on Sunday, September 15th. The Bills will host Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. In addition to the action on the field, halftime will feature a stirring tribute to the members of the prestigious Buffalo Bills Wall of Fame. Andre Reed, Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Bill Polian, Phil Hansen, many more will be on hand. That's Sunday, September 15th at Ralph Wilson Stadium. To purchase tickets, log on to BuffaloBills.com.
One of the highlights of my entire football career was being put on that wall of fame.
I don't doubt it. As the pass is complete to Aldrick Robinson with 6 seconds left here in the first quarter.
It's a nice out route. Well, with off coverage, you should be able to complete that just about every time. You get back to that game against the Carolina Panthers as they're going to take a timeout here.
Actually, they let the clock run out.
Let the clock run out, yeah.
So that'll be the end of the first quarter here from FedEx Field. After 15 minutes, it is Washington 10, Buffalo 7. We'll take a local break and come back as the Bills looking to go 3-0 here in the preseason. Kevin Cobb got hit earlier in the game. He's been taken to the locker room for observation due to a head injury, Steve.
We think it happened on this place. He goes down. Not there. That hits right there. The knee to the back of the head. And in my experience, that's what gives when guys are more susceptible, when they get hit on the side or the back of the head, not the front.
Play action from Grossman. Lets this one go deep. Overthrows everybody on that play. Trying to find Joshua Morgan.
Yeah, he was pretty well covered on the play. Grossman had to throw that ball so early. Morgan broke off the route to come across on the post, and Grossman threw that ball deep down the same side. It was just a miscommunication. Both Aaron Williams and Stephon Gilmore on the coverage. Looked like they might pull it in for the interception, but the ball was thrown over everybody.
Brings up a 2nd and 10 now for Washington. Their own 43. They run the toss to Roy Halou. And he gets caught from behind by Kyle Williams, hustling down the line. Gain of 2.
Yeah, that's why Kyle Williams goes to the Pro Bowl. You got an inside defensive tackle running to the sideline to make a play, running around
on a toss, no
on
less.
a toss. I mean, he's got a motor with a lot of revs in it, man. That guy.
A lot of low gears.
But from the moment they got him over at one Bills drive, they knew they had somebody special, and he is not disappointed.
Brings up 3rd down and 8 now for Washington. Grossman tries the long ball again, and once again overthrows everybody. Santa Moss had 3 Bills defenders all around him, and the Redskins will have to punt.
Yeah, you can tell now the Buffalo Bills are getting a little bit better handle on the deep throws and not letting guys go. Early in the game, the Skins got a couple of big plays that led to some scores for them, set up scoring opportunities, because the Bills got a little bit confused in their back end. You'd like to think when Jarris Byrd gets back in the lineup, they won't have any of those communication problems, but they seem to have a better handle on it even now.
Zavraka punts it to Leotis McKelvin. McKelvin fakes him out, and that ball backs up at around the 5 and goes out at the 11-yard line. And that's where the Bills offense will take over. Once again, Kevin Cobb knocked out of this game. He's in the locker room undergoing observation for a head injury, and Jeff Toole is the quarterback. And we'll see Jeff Toole when we come back from this network break. 10-7, Bills trail here in the second. 10-7, Washington over Buffalo here in the second quarter. Great news for Bills fans. C.J. Spiller has checked back into the lineup.
Well, you know he's 100% if they let him play again, because from the beginning of the preseason, Doug Marrone has made it clear that they were going to treat him with kid gloves, make sure that he was ready to go for week 1. So you know he's fine if they're still playing him.
Jeff Toole in a quarterback, fires and completes it out to the 15-yard line where he finds Stevie Johnson. And Stevie gets tackled by Jordan Pugh after a gain of 5.
Jeff Toole doing it. I think the best thing I've seen from the young quarterbacks of Buffalo, not only E.J. Manuel, but of course Jeff Toole, is they get rid of the football. And of course, E.J., we've seen some quick, smart decisions from him, not only on throwaways, but also, we remember the touchdown to Brad Smith last week against Minnesota. Great, quick decisions. Both these quarterbacks, Jeff Toole and E.J. Manuel, looking good early in their careers.
Zone read. Spiller breaks back the other way. He's got some room. He got a couple of blocks set up. Done a lot of running. Did C.J. Spiller to gain very few yards as Brian Kell knocks him down after a pickup of 4.
Yeah, it's a nice 60-yard run for a 4-yard gain.
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, you can just feel it. People thought, as he turned that corner, they better get over there in a hurry to stop him. That's exactly what C.J. Spiller can do for an offense.
Fred Jackson checks in on 3rd and 2. Toole, nowhere to go with it. Now he finds someone on the backside, and that one is incomplete with his pass interference. T.J. Graham gets run into by David Amerson. Amerson never knew where the ball was, and this will move the chains for the Bills.
Yeah, and once again, I know I said it a minute, the ball's coming right out of the sun at this angle, at this time of day, a 4:30 start in late September. The ball's dropping right out of the sun. I don't know that Graham could have pulled it in anyway. but that was a penalty by Emerson, no question about it. The fans here don't like it, but you can see right here, I mean,
Bills have 74 yards on pass interference penalties. That one worth 40. The one earlier was worth 34. So they are in the Redskins territory again at the 38, and they hand it off to Freddie Jackson. Jackson to the left side, pushes his way for 6 yards before Emerson, who just had that penalty, makes the tackle.
Yeah, you never see a running back run more smoothly than Freddie Jackson. He gets every yard coming to him. He never seems to be anything but cool and calm, even when he's got pressure on him. I mean, the guy just is so slippery down inside in traffic. It's really fun to watch him run.
Little pitch and catch for the first down outside to Marquise Goodwin. And they're working on Emerson over there.
Yeah, they are. They continue to, and I think right now you can kind of tell this is a defense that's starting to feel the no huddle. Every time, if you're going to play off like that, that's an easy pitch and catch. Now you see there, Goodwin almost had a little trouble, kept picking it up. And that's because Toole had to put it high over the guy that was leaping off the edge. But that's a good pitch and catch for a first down, exactly what no huddle needs to do.
Toole gets it out of his hands again quickly, but it gets blocked on the way to Stevie Johnson. An incomplete pass. It'll be second down and 10.
And I think one thing with these teams are starting to try and get you out of your quick passing game. They start trying to jump up and do it. Quarterbacks have to learn to give just a quick pump fake to get the guy off his feet, to get his hands up, and then throw the football. Even on the quick routes when they've got pressure, take that extra minute to do that.
Second and 10. Toole fits it into a tight space. That one's complete to Johnson. He dropped the football on the ground, recovered by the Redskins. Was he down? Jackson ends up on top of it.
Well, he's gonna be down, and they're gonna review this, and it's not gonna go for the Redskins because there's no way that Stevie Johnson can put his arm on the ground and have the ball come out and not be down, because that's exactly what the rule is.
Well, they'll try to figure that out. We're going to take a local break here with the Bills driving, but will they keep the football? Come back and find out as they trail 10-7. Washington over Buffalo. Ray Bentley alongside Steve Tasker as they're trying to determine if Stevie Johnson fumbled that ball via replay, Steve.
Well, watch. Now the ball comes loose. Right there, the ball's loose, but does he get possession of it? Because his knee's down there, and he still had possession when he went down, but the ball comes loose. I think this is going to stand as a turnover, which means it probably...
Yeah. Looks like Walt Coleman's going to go take another look.
Okay.
So we'll take another local timeout while Walt Coleman takes another look at it. 10-7, Washington. Did he or didn't he? That's the question. Stevie Johnson, did he fumble on this last one? Take a look and you decide.
Well, right there, the ball starts to pop out. Now, does he regain possession? Because when the ball pops out the second time, his knee appears to be down. His right knee appears to be down right there, and he had two hands on it. So it'll be interesting to see what the official thinks. Did it come out early when it turned sideways, or did he retain possession even though the ball moved in his hands?
That's a tough one.
I think it's going to be a turnover.
Well, Walt Coleman has taken his looks. We'll get his decision.
After reviewing the play, really on the field stand. Fumble. Recovered by Washington. First down.
Hey, you got it right, Steve. You're in regular season form, brother. It's one you didn't want to be right.
Well, I know. I tried to outthink myself and pick the one I didn't want to have thinking I would be wrong as always, but
dangerous territory.
Not so.
Start that. So it is a turnover. Washington with a 10-7 lead. They bring Pat White out to play a little quarterback as Rex Grossman finishes the day 8 of 14 for 144 yards and a touchdown.
Pat White, 6 foot, 190 pounds, 2 years out of West Virginia. Ready to take some snaps.
Second-year man. Getting a good look here today as Roy Haley Jr. takes the handoff on the right side and cuts right back into Kiko Alonso, and you start going backwards and you run into that young fella.
Well, he's been one of the outstanding young players the Bills drafted this year. He probably has outshone anybody. Obviously, E.J. Manuel's gotten a lot of attention, but you're talking about a guy who's playing his position the best of any rookie in the Bills roster. I think Kiko Alonso wins.
That was outstanding. Played the patience that he had, understanding the cutback and where he was and where he needed to be.
And where he was supposed to be.
Good stuff.
You know?
2nd and 8. Pat White throws that lefty arrow in and complete to Aldrick Robinson, where he takes a big hit. And Gilmore a little slow getting up. Aaron Williams and Gilmore combined to make the stop.
The Bills corners playing off, using the off technique quite a bit today, giving the receiver a free release down the field, not really up on them tight at all. Now Leotis McKelvin at the top of your screen starts to get into a bump position.
1st and 10 from their own 30, go the Redskins. Got some movement there, and Kyle Williams said, I saw that. He comes across, and it's Josh Laribius.
Number 95, defense.
Yeah, Laribas. Yeah, and they missed it because watch what happens at the left guard of the Washington Redskins. And you can't, I mean, right there, the left guard. Now you see how he twitched. I mean, I don't know what you got to watch. Right in front of Kyle Williams. You see there, 67. That's the guy. He did it. That's Josh Laribas.
This crew
and they missed it completely.
They're struggling here early. Handoff. Haley Jr. He gets hit and twisted in the hole as Bradham and Cersei come up to finish him off.
I don't know. I got to let it go. It's hard to let it go. I mean, I got thrown out of my last game for not letting it go.
You still haven't let it go, have you?
Still haven't. I can let that go. This one's harder to take than that one. This one is like officiating 101.
Brings up 2nd and 1.
I wonder if you could throw a challenge flag on it, you know?
Someone's going to hear about it.
That's easy call.
I'm sure Doug Marrone will let him know. Haley Jr. gets behind that massive offensive line, gets a push. Looks like he got enough for the 1st down. We'll see when they unpile. And it is their 1st down. Look there at Mario Williams, Marcel Darius, Kyle Williams at defensive line.
Letting this number 1 defense, and really they wanted to play most of the starters all the way through halftime, let them get in, get it at halftime, then come back and take another series in the 2nd half to get used to doing that.
Handoff wide open on the cutback, fumble, and the ball bounces right back into the hands of Roy Haley Jr. A fortuitous bounce for the Redskins after a gain of 13.
Well, when you're at home, you always get a good bounce. Watch Haley, really, this is a nice cut by him. Very quick, he's going to come off and then cut back. Or I'm sorry, the opposite way, this way. And you'll watch as this play develops. This is just a nice cut, great vision. Right there, as somebody loses contain on the backside. Mario Williams up the field to chase from behind. Cuts back underneath him.
That's on Nigel Bradham. You know, the play we just showed with Kiko Alonso having the patience, staying behind the ball. Bradham did not do it on that play. Now another hole for Haley, and he finds room on the outside. He's forced out by Cersei, but not until he gets a 1st down and a gain of 16.
Now watch as they run the pistol offense. This play is going to starts with the quarterback having to watch right here and watch. He'll look at the defense and decide whether to hand the football off. He keeps it, or actually gives it right between, of course, where you're trying to get the ball, and he puts Jerry Hughes right on an island. Hughes has to make a decision, either the quarterback or the running back.
And he got neither, and that's
well, you
the
can't
problem
choose
with that.
either. You got to choose one.
Chris Thompson checks into the backfield as Pat White throws this one outside to Paulson, his tight end, and he'll get another 1st down as Aaron Williams trips him up.
Once again, the Bills get confused in the secondary. They're letting guys go free. They're miscommunicating on coverages, and they're losing track of guys. They're getting caught up with their eyes in the backfield, and it all starts with what I said, communication. They have to know which of them is going to take the releasing tight end or the back or the deep, short shallow receiver, and they're not communicating that at all in the early going here.
7th play of this drive for Washington is Chris Thompson. Checks in at the tailback position. He'll take the handoff, and penetration right there slows him down and gets him stopped. Corbin Bryant with the initial penetration.
Those kids doing a nice job with their running game. And it really, everything's easier when you can run the football. And it really sucks the confidence out of your opponent. If you can't stop the run, you're defenseless.
It's the way the game has always been. Hope it stays that way. 2nd and 9. See if the Bills dial up a blitz here in the red zone. Little keeper there by Pat White, takes it around the edge. White follows his blocker, and he's going to be just short. Well, they haven't decided yet. They're discussing it.
You're going to give him the touchdown.
Good block on the play by Darrell Young.
Touchdown.
And they do finally decide after a confab it was a touchdown.
And the official with the sunglasses.
That's the key, right? You sure those are sunglasses?
Yeah. Well, you'll watch. Pat White's going to come off, and it's going to be an option here and a swing out here with a lead blocker. And when he decides to keep it, there's nobody out there. 2 defensive backs are out there. Both of them have a guy blocking them, and you see Pat White gets it inside the pylon from our vantage point, which is right behind that end of the end zone. I mean, we're looking right down at that pylon, and it looked to me like a touchdown.
And every scoring play in the NFL is reviewed, so they are going to take a look at it. If they remembered. I kind of forgot to review that last one.
It took him forever to decide to review it. Now he does, to see if he doesn't step out of bounds, and there he's over the top of the pylon or inside the pylon with the ball.
He lost that ball somewhere along the way.
I think I think that's a touchdown.
Pat White thought it was.
It's under review.
And to me,
just now
they could really do a better job, and they could do this as soon as they score. The white hat should go to, unless it's anything but question, like a play like that, he should go directly to the review box because you know they're going to review it.
Especially when your guys can't even make the call in live action when
exactly.
they have a little
they got to get ahead of that.
About
I think that's it. And they need to work on their illegal procedure with the offensive guard twitching during the
preseason. Let's put it that way. Mike Shanahan looks like it's regular season. That look on his face. Of course, I can't imagine that changes a whole lot.
I'm not thinking he's a warm, fuzzy guy.
Sunday cup of coffee guy? No.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at it and see if Pat White does indeed get in the end zone.
Well, you know he doesn't step out of bounds, but he may go out of bounds. And as always in these close calls, everybody arrives at the pylon at the same time. Well, defenders, offensive players, the ball.
The call will stand.
Everybody was at the pylon except the official.
I think the call will stand. I don't think there's enough good looks that we've seen anyway to be able to say no definitively that was not a touchdown.
And that's what happened even on Stevie Johnson's turnover. They said the ruling on the field stands. They didn't say it was confirmed.
I think you're going to get another ruling stands once Walt Coleman gets done baking that pizza he's got in the Susie Bake oven there on the sideline. .6:01 to go here in the first half. Washington up 10-7 officially as we're reviewing this last touchdown run by quarterback Pat White.
It's a shot of Kyle Shanahan, offensive coordinator. So much going on here in Washington with RG3 and his status. Many football fans remember him trying to play in that playoff game last January and not being able to finish it.
And the touchdown stands. The Redskins go up 16-7 with Forbath to attempt the extra point. And that drive is one that the Bills are going to look at long and hard, the way Washington was able to just run the football down the field. Extra point from Forbath is good. That makes it 17-7 Washington over Buffalo. 6:01 to go here in the first half. We'll take a network timeout and see who comes out at quarterback for the Bills when we return. Ray Bentley alongside Steve Tasker. Mike Catalana on the sidelines for us as the Redskins are up now 17-7 over Buffalo. Forbath ready to kick it off to Marquise Goodwin as he sets in the Bills end zone.
Okay.
See the scoring drive for Washington. 9 plays, 83 yards. Capped off by that 14-yard touchdown run.
That drive engineered by Pat White, give you an idea of why a lot of teams are excited about their opportunity to run the read option. It's great when it works, and it's really tough to defend.
Forbath gets it to Goodwin at the goal line. Makes a man miss. And then runs into traffic at the 22-yard line, a 22-yard return. And now it's time to return to the sidelines for our Geico Spotlight. Here's Mike Catalana. Mike?
Yeah, and we're putting it on that fella, number 74, Colin Brown, and he has really excelled in training camp and so far in the preseason. And Doug Marrone was talking about the fact that guys got to earn their spot in the starting lineup and on this roster at all. And Colin Brown has done that. He has earned that separation between the guys who are fighting for the jobs. Right now, he's a starting guard. It looks that way for the start of the year.
Jeff Toole hands that one off to C.J. Spiller. Spiller will get a couple of yards on the first down try. Toole has come into the ball game as Kevin Cobb left, and he's being put under observation for concussion syndrome, or symptoms, I should say. So Toole stepped in. He's hit 4 of 5 for 26 yards. Hands this one to Spiller, and he'll get a couple more.
Spiller coming out. Freddie Jackson going in, letting this #1 offense, aside from Jeff Toole, giving him the entire first half. And like we said, they'll come out after halftime and get another series in to give them the idea of what it's like to go in for halftime, come back out, get re-warmed up, cool down, then warmed up again in a real game.
3rd and 5. Complete. Stevie Johnson goes up high, catches the ball for the first down.
And that was a nice catch up above his head. He speared it and pulled it in. Looked like it might get knocked away, but a nice delivery by Toole in front of the safety, just above where he was trying to reach. It's a good thing Toole let it go, and he did. A moment later, he was picked.
Jackson to the edge, and he'll get just back to the line of scrimmage as David Emerson comes up with the stop.
Bills continuing to go with 3 wides, 1 back, 1 tight end. Stevie Johnson in the slot.
Toole gets the pass batted down. It's like he was trying to hit Stevie Johnson in the middle, and Darryl tapped that one away.
3rd time he's had a pass batted down.
The Yellow First Down Line technology for today's game is brought to you by Toyota. The Toyota August sales event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places.
I'll say it again. Toole needs to get one little thing, just a quick pump fake, even if he's not ready to throw it. Just pump it and get those guys to jump and throw off their timing. It'll stop them being able to bat those passes down.
3rd and 9. Toole with the time. Throws it incomplete. Looking for T.J. Graham. Chase Minifield had good coverage, and it looked to me like Toole threw it away.
He threw it high and away. Probably when he let it go, he thought, well, maybe he can get a play on it, but it just wasn't going to happen. Graham got caught inside with the defender on the outside. The ball was high and outside. Nobody could get turned around and get back and make a play on it. You're right. It amounted to a throwaway.
Sean Powell on the punt. Sky Dawson back inside his 10 to return for Washington. And that will go into the end zone for a touchback. Hey, don't miss the excitement at Ralph Wilson Stadium on Sunday, September 15th. The Bills will host Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. In addition to the action on the field, halftime will feature a tribute to members of the Bills Wall of Fame. That's Sunday, September 15th at Ralph Wilson Stadium. To purchase tickets, log on to BuffaloBills.com.
I was talking a little earlier, we didn't get a chance to get to it. That was the highlight of my football career, going on that. And I know that if people can make it to that game. I think it'll be something special for the fans of the Bills to see all those great ones together at the same time. I think it's going to be a really special day.
Pat White stays in at quarterback, play action. The lefty finds a wide open receiver, Alvick Robinson, and he gets tossed down at around the 41 by Leotis McKelvin after a pickup of 21 yards. That play action throws the Bills secondary.
Yeah, there's no question the receivers of the Washington Redskins are having a field day. Right over here, they're playing off are the Buffalo Bill defenders, and that gives those receivers a chance to set a defensive back up to run whatever route they want, and it's really difficult, particularly since the Bills are running pressure up front. They don't have much safety help, so they have to keep deep leverage and can't break on the up routes, the short routes.
Haley Jr. on the toss to the left side, and Kiko Alonso shows up and stops him after a gain of 3. But you were talking about the running game that the Redskins have had success with. All of a sudden, the play-action pass opens up when you're able to run the football.
That's exactly right, because as you saw just then, when they fake that handoff, the front seven are jumping on the ball. They're going to come up and try and stop the run. And when you pull the football back out, there's just not that many guys back down in the secondary, and that's a lot of open space for those receivers to run around in and find the open spot. And if the ball comes out on time, as it usually does in play action, it's really difficult to defend. And in this case, I think the corners for the Bills, Gilmore and McKelvin, are really having to play conservative in the back end.
2nd and 7. Pat White just overshoots Logan Paulson. And Paulson pays for it. Aaron Williams knocks him down just because he was there.
Now, Aaron Williams is the safety you don't mind getting matched up on a tight end. And that was covered much better. Although they might have completed it, Williams was going to tackle him for a short gain.
Brings up 3rd and 7 for the Redskins from their own 44. Quick slant, complete. Robinson steps in front of the corner and gets it done again.
Working against Ron Brooks. Rom's right there. So that's not Ron Brooks. That's Justin Rogers. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's Justin Rogers. It's a good route and a good throw.
The Redskins will let this run down to our 2-minute warning. And we have hit it. 2 minutes to go here in the first half as the Redskins lead Buffalo 17-7. We'll take a network break and come back the final 2 minutes after this. So Bills fans made the trip, or maybe they just are transplanted down here in our nation's capital as the Redskins hold a 17-7 lead over Buffalo. 2 minutes to go here in the first half. Washington on the move once again. You want to stick around for our Northtown Automotive halftime report. We'll talk with Coach Marone. Do a little focus on Aaron Williams. We'll have our highlights and stats. Pat White in at quarterback for Washington. Action starts. Alan Branch looks like he might have went quickly.
Well, they got that one.
Had a reason. So that'll back him up 5 more.
It must have been the right guard instead of the left guard. They could see that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That'll make it 1st and 15. Offset pistol formation. And they run the read option. Pat White gets to the edge until Kiko Alonso knocks his cart over. Gain of 10 on the play. As missed tackle. Corbin Bryant had a shot at Pat White in the backfield.
And you'll see here once again they're going to run this out here, and the quarterback will try and keep it. And it's just him looking at the end guy on the line of scrimmage, makes his choice and keeps it. And this is what RG3 supposedly will be doing once he gets in the lineup as soon as his knees gets better. But that's the offense the Redskins are going to try and win the NFC East with right there.
On 2nd and 3. Haley Jr. runs into Marcel Darius. Nowhere to go there. Loss of 2 on the play.
The Bills have had some pretty good success in the run game versus the run game of the Skins at the point of attack. Their problem has been the cutbacks. We saw Kiko Alonso do a nice job of it, but we've also seen Halou snap off a couple of very nice runs cutting back. In that case, Darius was right in the right spot, tackle him actually for a loss on that play and sets up the 3rd down. But the Bills have been pretty good at the point of attack, but the cutbacks have really kind of jumped up and bitten them.
Mike Pettin looking at his group out there, and a timeout is now taken on the field. Washington burns their first timeout. So with minute 15 to go here in the first half, Washington looking at a 3rd down and 5. Gives me a chance to remind you, don't miss the excitement at Ralph Wilson Stadium on Sunday, September 15th, when the Bills host Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. In addition to the action on the field, there'll be a halftime tribute to the members of the Bills Wall of Fame. Andre Reed, Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Bill Polian, Phil Hansen, many more will be there for that one. That's Sunday, September 15th at Ralph Wilson Stadium. And log on to BuffaloBills.com to get your tickets today. White in the backfield in the pistol. Steps back, lets this one go deep. Got hit as he threw it. That messed up the throw as he overshot Josh Morgan. Pressure on the play by Marcel Darius.
Forced the bad throw.
Darius starting to show up here.
Yeah, he is, and it's tough for a defensive end in a 3-4 scheme to show up in the backfield on a pass play, but you'll see him. He splits the double team, trying to get some help from the left guard on the center, and Darius that's not going to be enough help.
White wants a penalty. He said, hey, that guy hit me in the face. Well, too bad. I love that. I can't help myself.
When they get away with it, you love it.
Yeah, 54-yard attempt here, and a timeout taken by Buffalo. Doug Marrone wants to save some time on the back end of this so that he can get his 2-minute offense another rep. So, Steve, I just talked about that Wall of Fame tribute game, and you've mentioned it a couple of times. Kind of take me through that. What that day was like.
Well, first of all, you think about what it's like to be in Buffalo, Western New York. Could you think of one other place that would be more of an honor to have your name on the wall of than that joint? Than Ralph's. Ralph. I mean, that for anybody who lives there, grew up there, that place is special, and to have to be one of those guys, to have it. Have your name put up there. It's really humbling. It's very cool, and like I said, it's the highlight of my career. Such as my career was, that was a highlight.
Well, you were deserving, my man, and they need to get Canton warmed up for you one of these days here before too long. 53-yard attempt from Forbath, and he's got the leg for it, and it's good. So the Redskins add 3 with a minute 4 left here in the first half. It's 20 for Washington, 7 for Buffalo.
As you know, they called a timeout. That Forbath went ahead and kicked a practice kick. I would instruct all my guys, if they're going to take a practice kick, you take a practice rush and stuff it right back. In fact, rough the holder and the kicker both. Because if the ball's dead, it can't be a penalty. And if they're kicking it, you make them pay for it. You block it, and you inadvertently stomp on his foot. I don't let the guy take a practice shot. There's just no way.
I always liked you, Steve.
There's just no way.
Now I know why.
If he's going to take a practice kick to get ready to kick a 50-yard field goal to put points on the board against us, he's going to have to pay the price to do it. I think that's a rule that should be in second. If he's going to take a practice shot, I'm going to take a practice rush, and I'm going to miss the ball, and he's going to get hit. And I'm not saying, a cheap shot or anything like that.
Oh, no, not at all.
But I'm telling you, he won't do it again. I think you're right. And I'll tell you, you tip your hat to him for that. It's because he missed the practice kick. And I think it's a smart play by a kicker to do that. And if you can get away with it, I think, go take a practice swipe at it, because they never miss the second one. And I think it's a smart play by him, and I would tell my guys not to let him get away with it.
Forbath kicks this one off. Goodwin deep in his own end zone. Takes it from 6 yards deep. And just tripped, making the cut, and they will call him down. He popped up like no one had touched him. I think he may have been right about that. But put the Bills offense back on the field. And we will go down to Mike Catalano with an injury update. Mike?
The latest player to leave the field, Denoris Searcy, the safety, went out. He's in for observation. We should have an update later on his condition. The good news for the Bills today, Jarris Byrd, the safety, worked out before the game. Bills are hoping to get him back out on the field at practice. He just reported to the team. We're going to talk live with Doug Marrone as he leaves the field for halftime.
Thank you, Mike. Tool. Nowhere to throw it, going to run it. Slides in at the 19 where Darryl taps him down. Clock continues to roll. Pressure on that play by Rob Jackson. Those receivers have to hustle back. They had gone deep on that particular play. And Tool is just snowed under. Darryl Tapp blew by the left side of the Bills' defensive line. I don't know if it was a mental error or just a fast wind, but he came in unfettered.
Yeah, and that was only a 4-man rush, and that's a blown job, a blown assignment by the Bills' offensive line. Either somebody got beat physically or they let a guy run free. You can't let 4 guys on a rush when they know you're going to throw get to the quarterback.
3rd and 10, clock winding down. Tool pitches it outside. Stevie Johnson takes the hit, gets knocked out of bounds by David Amerson.
That's a bad call by that official. Stevie Johnson held his balance and was going to cut back in, stepped out of bounds after the hit.
And they let the clock run out.
Which the Bills aren't too upset about anyway.
Coming up, our Northtown Automotive Group halftime show. Shortly, Mike will be along with Coach Marrone. We'll have a Bills Focus piece on Aaron Williams, and we'll bring you highlights and stats from all the action here in this first half as the Redskins take that 20-7 lead. And let's go down to Mike with the coach.
Coach, Kevin Cobb out. What can you tell us about his injury?
They told me he had concussion-like symptoms.
So you wanted to see a lot out of Kevin. It kind of hurts to not get more reps out of him today.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's talk defense. I know you've been wanting to see this team get off the field more often, really struggled in that first half. What do you think went on?
Well, we missed some plays. I mean, we had an opportunity to make 2 plays on both drives that they scored touchdowns on, and, we didn't make it, and credit to them, they made those plays. And then, we were moving the ball to go up, and we had a turnover, and they come back down, and we give up a touchdown. So that was a crucial part in the game, but, we got to come out, hold them here in the second half, and then, get the offense on and get down the field and score.
One last thing, defensively, you've been happy with the red zone. Today, 2 touchdowns. Is that a concern right now?
Well, it's a concern for today because obviously we let up 2 touchdowns. But again, we could have made a lot of plays and we haven't, and that's it's just one of those things you have to do. Credit to them, they made them.
All right, thanks very much, Coach Doug Marrone and his team trailing at halftime by a score of 20-7. Guys,
thank you, Mike. Coming up, our Northtown Automotive halftime group show, and we'll bring a Bills focus on Aaron Williams as Buffalo trails Washington 20-7. We'll take a local break and bring you more from the halftime after this. Marcus Easley do anything here in the first half, Steve, but I imagine he's going to get some good looks here in a second.
Well, he's an intriguing player because he is good. He's got a lot of physical ability, but for a variety of reasons, mostly injury in the first 3 years, he has not been able to play, and they haven't been. It's not like he's chronically injured. He's got all the kinds of maladies that keep him out that aren't really football related, some of them. So it's kind of hard to get a handle on how dependable he is when it doesn't look like there's anything physically wrong with his ability to play. And he's an intriguing prospect. I know Charlie Joyner, the longtime NFL wide receiver, Hall of Fame wide receiver, and longtime NFL coach at wide receiver. He loved Marcus Easley coming out of college. He thought he was one of the most polished wide receivers coming out of college he'd ever seen. But he has yet to get any traction as a player in a regular down and distance.
4th round pick back in 2010 out of UConn. As Hopkins is set to tee it up, kick it off, and he does. Chris Thompson back to return the Hopkins kick. Gets the edge. Should have been a flag on the hold there. I didn't see one come down. As the return set up by the Redskins, and they'll come out on offense here to start the second half.
See Hopkins walking on the sidelines. There's a couple of ways you can go with kickoff. A lot of teams just say, hey, kick it as deep as you can kick it. Problem is when you start kicking it deep, the ball comes down out of the sky pretty fast. It turns into a line drive, and if they catch it, they've got more time to return it. So if you hit it down the middle and hit it as high as you can, it's a little bit more like a punt return and gives the coverage team a little more distance, less distance to cover once he catches it.
Pat White checks in back at quarterback. Play action. Throws it down the field and incomplete is Dante Stallworth. Had it go off his hands. And he's second down and 10.
Pat White's got to be a little disgusted with that. Dante Stallworth should have pulled that in. He was open. He ran the deep out, working against McKelvin, and got himself some separation. The ball was there.
Pat White, 4 of 6 in the first half for 59 yards. Also 2 carries, 25 yards, and that 14-yard touchdown run on the read option. Second and 10 out of the pistol. Little toss sweep out to Halu, and he's got room on the edge. Breaks through a couple of tackles and gets another first down. Nigel Bradham ends up finally getting him down.
The Bills are struggling with the motion. They bring the tight end across the formation, and it confuses. Jerry Hughes doesn't know whether to take the tight end and set the edge of the defense or run a stunt that they had called before that. He starts to run the stunt, jumps inside, and gives up the edge to the Redskins. The motion looked like it kind of confused the front of the Bills defense.
They run it to the right side, little cutback, and that's where Kiko Alonso shows up along with Jay Ross and Jerry Hughes to make the stop.
Everything that an offense does before the snap is with the motion and the personnel changes and the formations are all designed to do something to the defense. And in this case, the motion and also the personnel combinations are putting the Bills in some confusing spots, and I think they've struggled with it the entire game. They've been confused at times.
Confusion in the protection, and a free runner. Jerry Hughes comes up with his 3rd sack of the preseason. Those are the ones you like when nobody, they forget to block you.
Yeah, that's like running against air and they don't blow the whistle. You see all that, the right tackle.
He never got out of his stance.
That was a cadence miss. I mean, they left Tony Pashos standing with his hand on the ground as Jerry Hughes went right by him. You see that Jerry, he looks like he maybe got a pectoral muscle stretched as he grabbed the jersey of Pat White, still feeling it.
So the sack by Hughes puts the Redskins in a 3rd and long. White tries to get rid of it and gets sacked again as the relentless pass rush continues. Duke Williams coming up from the safety spot in a blitz, wrestles down Pat White.
Well, Williams is going to come up right up here. He's going to come up and get into the fray, as well as there's Brian Scott right there. You see they've sent 4 guys. There's only 3 to block. One of them comes loose, and it's Williams.
Mikel Roby makes the fair catch at his own 25-yard line, and that's where the Bills offense will come out and give us their first look here in the second half as we take a local timeout with the Redskins over the Bills here in the 3rd, early on, 20-7.
Bills back on offense in the 3rd quarter, and at halftime we talked to Doug Marrone about Kevin Cobb and his injury. I really should have asked him about Jeff Toole. What an opportunity for this guy. Coach told us coming into the game he's probably had more snaps than any 3rd stringer in history. Now he's getting major reps in the 3rd and probably most important preseason game. He's an important guy.
Well, as we said earlier on, Doug Marrone said he's kind of disgusted. He says you try and keep a 3rd quarterback, that nobody knows about, won't grab. They can't put him on the practice squad. I mean, he's now made himself so valuable, every other team in the league could grab him.
Fred Jackson, little cut back behind the nose, picks up a couple of yards on first down. The Bills offense not real good there in the first half, Steve. 111 total yards, and they ran only 31 plays. This team has been averaging in the upper 80s here after the first couple of games.
Well, that's the problem. If you're going to run the no huddle, the thing you got to do is stay on the field offensively. You got to make first downs and get a lot of plays. That's crucial. That first down is really crucial for an offense to run in that fast pace.
Play action. Toole, nowhere to go. He'll slide and take a hit. No flag coming. Give him a yard or 2 on the play. It'll bring up a 3rd down in which the Bills just 2 of 7 on 3rd down conversions in that first half. As you talked about, got to get the first downs, keep that offense on the field, especially when they go at the pace Buffalo does.
Yeah, and you see Toole here, he's got to have more time. The Redskins are doing a nice job flushing the quarterbacks out of the pocket. We saw Cobb walk into a sack earlier.
Thule comes back in the other direction, and he'll be just short of the first down as he hooks up with Robert Woods.
Yeah, and there's not much to throw to. I gotta kind of give Thule a little bit of a break here. Not too many guys running free in the secondary. The Skins are doing a nice job with getting pressure with just 4 and sometimes 5 guys. That time it was 5 guys. They're covering up the receivers in the back end of the secondary. Nobody's running free, and the quarterbacks for the Bills are all having to hang on to the football.
Sean Powell comes in to kick it away on 4th and 2. Sky Dawson back to return for Washington. And Sky's this punt. Dawson's waving everybody off. It bounces out of bounds. And let's see where they mark it. Up around the 17-yard line. So we'll take a network timeout as the Washington Redskins get the ball back. They lead Buffalo 20-7 here in the third. 20-7 in the third quarter. Washington over Buffalo, and RG1 back in the game. Rex Grossman. I don't know who RG2 is.
Yeah, I don't either, but that surprises me that Grossman's back in the game. He was out for the entire second quarter, and now to put him back in, I think that's hard as a player to go out, sit out for that long, and then get ready to play and come back in and be effective.
Mike Shanahan makes the decision. Grossman throws and completes it to Desmond Briscoe. Briscoe gets brought down by Nigel Bradham. And, you know, my only thought would be when Rex Grossman comes into a game, it's going to be as a relief guy. And maybe that's why Shanahan decided to set him down and then bring him back in that relief kind of role.
Yeah, or maybe they also wanted to get Pat White some looks against the #1 defense of the Bills. They might want to run the read option against the #1 defense for the offensive line and the receivers.
Chris Thompson takes the toss, and Bills are able to contain it, force it back inside. Still an impressive running play as Jamie Blatnick makes the tackle, but the Redskins have just ran on Buffalo pretty much at will. 203 yards rushing in the first half by this Redskin outfit.
Yeah, and that's a great stat for them, no question about it. And a lot of it comes from that read option. And it also allows their passing game to be effective. Maybe not spectacular, but certainly effective.
Thompson to the right side, and Blatnick again down there at the bottom of that pile making a tackle.
And this is the kind of game that you see a lot, and you see it a lot in teams in the NFC East, particularly when it gets into November, December, January. These teams hand it off a lot. They need to have a way to get big chunks of yards without putting the ball in the air. And Doug Marrone told us he wanted to see if this Bills team could stand up physically to a team that liked to run it like the Skins do.
3rd down and 2 for the Redskins. Keelan Williams, the tailback. They throw it this time, and it's complete on just a little arrow route by Jordan Reed, and it is another 1st down for Washington. And Rodgers on the coverage.
Gets there quick, but it's just too short a distance. Once again, the defensive backs of the Bills playing off the receivers.
Toss to the right side. This is Thompson. He fumbles the football. It's loose on the field. And it looks like the Bills had it. Jay Ross rolled over the top of it. I think he might have lost it.
I think he did. You saw what I saw. You could see it. The offensive lineman came out and wrenched it out of his hands. No, it wasn't.
I think he just lost it when he rolled over. Briscoe.
Desmond Briscoe comes up with it. He just wrenches it away from him. Ross had it and couldn't hang on to it. That's an enormous opportunity lost. You'll watch as you'll see Thompson comes in, boom, ball comes out. No question, it's a fumble.
Justin Rodgers.
And he's got right there. Ross has got it, and he just can't hang on to it. You can't. He got turned over.
He should have stayed turtled. He rolled over and gave people exposure. Here's a sack. Nowhere to throw the football. Good coverage down the field, and Jamie Blatnick shows up along with Ross.
Yeah, that was a coverage sack on that one, no question. Blatnick and Ross. I mean, Grossman is just going to stand here, and the pocket's going to collapse around him, as you'll see. He's looks to his left, then looks to his second, and then to his third option, and then by that time the pocket's collapsed. He went through his 3 progressions, and didn't see anything he liked and had to eat it.
3rd and 12 now for the Redskins. Grossman with time. Runs out of time, has to throw this one away. A good coverage again down the field by the Bills secondary forced Grossman to hold on to it, and then the time ran out. They had a little pressure by Brian Scott coming on the blitz.
Yeah, they brought 5 players in the pass rush and still couldn't get home really quickly. Grossman had a long time waiting on somebody to uncover. Watch as the coverage, as you see, got him covered up pretty well all over the field.
Rocca's punt to Nikel Roby. Roby makes another fair catch, this one just outside the 15-yard line. And that is where the Bills will take over possession here in the 3rd quarter. We'll take a local timeout right now as the Redskins lead the Bills 20-7.
Something to focus on the rest of this game, that battle for the 3rd running back spot. Veteran Tashard Choice in there now, but he's getting pushed by Zach Brown and Kendall Gaskins. Choice in there now. He needs to have a big 3rd and 4th preseason game to secure that spot.
Thank you, Mike.
A lot of the problems with these other positions is one of those running backs, they'd like to get something out of them on special teams where they could help some point.
A little bootleg action, and that one intended for Drew Smith. And Chase Minifield came up and looked like he was going to put a big hit on Smith.
Well,
he bounced right
thought he
off
was
of it.
going to be the hammer. He turned into the nail. But you talk about these guys trying to make the squad in the backup positions. They've got to find a way to make themselves valuable, not only on the 53-man roster, but also on game day when they're not going to play running back or tight end. They got to find a way to get on the field as a kick cover or some other way to make themselves valuable.
Toole hands it off to Tashard Choice. He'll get up to the 20-yard line, bring up a 3rd and 5 for Buffalo. And the second team offensive line is in the mix now. It looks like the starters may be done here for the afternoon.
Yeah, you've got Dave Snow in there, Sam Young, Legursky, Thomas Welch at left tackle.
Buffalo just 2 of 9 on 3rd down conversions. They drop it off short to Tashard Choice. And Ryan Kell makes the stop, and the Bills will have to punt it once again.
Yeah, this has been, I think, a little bit of a disappointing first half and early in the second half showing for the Bills offense. They have not been able to get first downs, and you know, they put together 1 or 2 pretty good drives, although only one of them ended with the score, but they have not been able to stay on the field offensively, and it leads to a game that looks more lopsided than it perhaps is.
Powell punts it towards the sideline again. Chris Thompson not able to handle it, and Powell a little bit of a roll. He'll down it at the 28-yard line, and that's where the Redskins will take over when we return after this network timeout. Pat White checking back in at quarterback for Washington as they lead the Bills 20-7. Back to Landover, Maryland, FedEx Field, where the Bills trail 20-7 here in the 3rd quarter. I'm Ray Bentley alongside Steve Tasker up in the booth. Mike Catalana joining us down on the sidelines as we bring you Game 3 of the preseason action for the Buffalo Bills 2013 edition. 1st and 10 Washington. Pat White checks back in at quarterback. And he's got Chris Thompson behind him in the eye set. And again, a jump. And we'll see who they want to blame it on. Corbin Bryant went across the line for Buffalo.
97 defense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
You saw Tom Compton, the offensive lineman, kind of laughing and smiling about it. They changed that rule, Stephen, when a defensive guy jumps into the neutral zone and the offensive guy, then he can move, and that'll force the penalty being on the defense.
Yeah, and you'll see here as jumps in, you just got to touch him and react, and it's on the defense.
Toss to Thompson out on the right side, and he will gain the first down as he gets knocked down by Cresden Butler.
One of the things the Redskins offensive line, you wonder why these guys are being able to slip down inside. The offensive linemen for the Skins are not letting the Bills shed them, and they're getting them up high so the Bills can't get down into a hitting position and slip off the block to prevent that guy from slipping between defenders and offensive linemen. The running backs are putting their foot in the ground and then slithering up through small crevices in the pursuit, and because they're engaged with those offensive linemen, the Bills defenders can't make the tackle.
Another toss out to the right side, and somehow Thompson gets through a host of tacklers. Alan Branch ends up getting him down, but not until he picks up another 9.
You think about guys like Chris Thompson, who, he's a rookie out of Florida State, former teammate of E.J. Manuel's. He's going to break it up in there, and that's just right there, finding a spot. A young guy, running back, trying to make a way for himself in the NFL, makes a play like that, and you do it consistently, and pretty soon you find yourself on the roster. That's a good run by a young player.
2nd and 1. And White takes too long, and somebody lost their water. Adam Geddes goes a little bit early. So that'll back the Redskins up, make it a 2nd and 6.
They're 3 for 4, getting that right.
Yeah.
I can't let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Let it go, man. You'll be all right.
I'll think about that before I go to sleep tonight.
I know you will. Don't call me, though.
I won't.
2nd and 6. Keelan Williams in behind White in that pistol formation. White on the slant connects to Jordan Reed as he beats Ron Brooks. I believe there was a flag. No, it's something else on the field.
It's yellow confetti. Somebody's throwing on the field. Got Brooks working against Reed. Reed, the big tight end, 6'2", 240 pounds, rookie out of Florida. Big guy to tackle.
Redskins down at the Bills' 38-yard line. Zone Reed again, and nowhere to go this time as Buffalo stays home and takes the quarterback away. Duke Williams ends up making the stop for the Bills. Well, the yellow first down line technology for today's game is brought to you by Toyota. The Toyota August sales event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. 2nd and 9 for Washington. White gets hit as he lets this one go and shoots it a little too high as the pressure came from Corbin Bryant. Knocked White right on his backside. Pass incomplete.
Came right up from the inside. That's a good, and that's how you hit it. You keep standing up, you hit him face to face and push him down. It's a good clean hit.
Brings up a 3rd and 9 now for Washington. See the Redskins 4 of 9 on 3rd down conversions. Max protection. White overshoots his receiver Briscoe. Coverage on the play by Cresden Butler, and Redskins have a decision to make: field goal or punt.
It looks like they're punting it away.
Sav Rocca coming out on the field.
Forbath will stay on the sidelines. And that would have been about a 55-yarder to try it.
Was good from 53 earlier, twice.
This is exactly the area of the field Doug Marrone told us they need to be able to turn into points.
Mikel Roby muffs the punt, and there's a pile up. We'll see who comes up with it.
Well, the strongest cat gets it.
And that strong cat is Lance Lewis.
And that is a crusher. And that's the problem when you muff a punt back there. Usually you're the only one there, and it's all the coverage guys around you, because your own teammates see the fair catch and they stay away. And then you see there 3 Redskins and then a 4th one coming in. They're going to get it away from them.
Boy, where are the officials? I mean, because Roby had this thing on the recovery, and they just let him kind of.
Well, the officials get held away by the crowd they can't get in there. Nobody's letting go, and they can't pry guys off. And the one with the most teammates and the most leverage down underneath gets it.
Well, it seems like
Doug Marrone looks like he's had better days.
Well, that's what I was about to say, Steve. It looks like all the bad breaks that the Bills have coming to them.
Well, you think about it
today.
Well, you look back at some of the things that have happened. You think back to just the little things that have happened. Halou fumbles the ball coming out of the pile early in the first half. The ball bounces right back up to him, and then stuff like that happens. The Bills that's football.
Rex Grossman seems to be alternating series now with Pat White. He's in and throws it up into the end zone, overshoots Jordan Reed. Incomplete. Second down now for the Redskins.
Yeah, and the Redskins come out in a big, heavy package. They got like one wide receiver, a couple of tight ends, and a fullback. And then they force the Bills linebackers to match up in coverage. And they're trying to hit a tight end with Moats in coverage in the corner of the end zone.
Second and goal from the 5. Thompson in the eye. He'll run the explode play to the right side and goes nowhere as Alan Branch catches him from behind. Good play by Doughton as well, filling up from the linebacker spot.
Alan Branch, 7-year guy out of Michigan. The Bills picked up. He was with Seattle last year. He's 6'6", 325. And when you see these guys on the field, Alan Branch looks like a professional football player. He's big, and he has a big body down inside. And it'll be interesting to see if he can help the Bills this year, being physical up front.
Marcus Doughton on the field, being tended to. Accounting for the stoppage in play. And we will take a local timeout as they attend to Marcus Doughton. We'll be back as the Redskins hold the lead over the Bills.
A moment ago, we saw Doughton stay down on the field. We'll get a chance to see it. I'll point him out here as the play progresses. Right there, 54. He gets rolled up on by the pile, trying to hold the edge of the defense.
Those are scary situations if you've ever been in one of those.
Well, you're engaged with the guy and the play's happening behind you and it's coming towards you.
So it brings up third and goal from just inside the 5. Grossman in the gun. Little shovel pass underneath to Keelan Williams and nowhere to go. Arthur Moats read that one perfectly, and it'll force the Redskins to come out and try a field goal.
And Arthur Moats did a really nice job because that was a play that was just going to be a slow developer. He's going to have blockers in front of him. Watch as the offensive linemen just kind of stand up and let their guys come through, and the back is going to slip right in behind them. Right there, you'd think you're going to have a chance to do it, and Moats gets right around the block of Kevin Matthews and makes the play.
So Forbath on to attempt and make his third field goal of the ball game. This one from 21, and the Redskins go ahead now with a minute 55 left in the third, 23-7 over the Buffalo Bills. Moats making a play there, getting off a block. We haven't seen enough of that here today for the Bills defense, but Moats was able to force the field goal and save the Bills 4 points on that drive.
Bills have given up 2 touchdowns in the first half, forced field goal attempts on the other remaining opportunities for the Redskins. Still, though, the Redskins really making a lot of hay with that read option in the first half with Pat White running it. You can see, with RG3 running it, who is a pretty good thrower as well. That's going to be a pretty potent offense. And what it comes down to is keeping RG3 on 2 good wheels for the entire season.
Of course, the Redskins haven't played RG3 yet in this preseason, not going to. Kirk Cousins, their backup, was injured on Monday, and there was pretty much doubt about whether he would play today or not. Of course, he hasn't. And so they've gone with Pat White and Rex Grossman, and it's been pretty good for him today. John Potter set the kickoff. Brad Smith, one of the Bills' deep to return. This one is 9 yards deep, and Smith will take the knee for a touchback, and the Bills offense will matriculate at the 20-yard line. Let's take it down to the sidelines, and Mike Catalana. Mike?
Guys, you see Brad Smith playing on special teams. We've seen him play wide receiver. A lot of fans with Kevin Cobb getting knocked out might be wondering, well, what about Brad Smith at quarterback? He's been strictly wide receiver in special teams during camp. I'm assuming in an emergency situation he could go in there and take snaps, but he has been wide receiver special teams trying to make this team again for the Bills.
Thanks, Mike. Jeff Toole hands it off to Tashard Choice, and Choice will get a yard maybe before he gets knocked back.
You know, you think about the injuries and how the cards might fall at the end of this preseason. You know, there's an outside chance. I mean, I don't know how E.J. Manuel is. It's not a serious knee injury. We know that.
I know
Kevin Cobb with concussion symptoms. All of a sudden, Jeff Toole's looking pretty good. I mean, and he might win the job by default, no question. But all of a sudden, you're glad you've seen him at least play well.
Choice takes it up past the 25, tackled by Ron Brace. And, you know, I was thinking the same thing earlier, and that's a really good thing that Jeff Toole has developed and matured in his first training camp here with the Bills the way he has.
And plus the fact that he's gotten so many snaps in game situations.
3rd and 5, blitz comes. Toole on an out and up.
That's illegal contact.
Just overshoots his intended receiver, Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah, I thought Goodwin got bumped right at the bottom of that route by Murphy, Jerome Murphy, who's in the coverage. Just as he turned up on the out and up, there was contact, but no call. Those are tough to call as well. I mean, right there.
It was an illegal contact, and so if the ball wasn't in the air, I mean, it only could have been pass interference. He wasn't
Right, there you go.
Within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage in the contact zone. So 4th and 5. Sean Powell on to kick it again. Once again, Chris Thompson back to return. He comes up, catches the short kick on the run with some speed. Here he goes. Chris Thompson will get run down and lassoed from the side, but a gutsy play and a nice return for Thompson.
Well, that's a great job by him, having some confidence, knowing that the coverage guys and the gunners were going to run past him. He caught it going forward with some momentum, knowing he had a little bit of space, and whoever was going to get him was going to be behind him. You can feel where those guys are more than see them, and he does a great job, Thompson does, of securing the football and getting some momentum. Even if you get tackled pretty quickly, you're going to get a first down and 10 yards for your offense. Great return, great decision by Thompson.
40-yarder by Thompson, touchdown-saving tackle by T.J. Heath. Bootleg action. White on the edge, tries to throw a fastball, and that one is incomplete. Nick Williams was the intended receiver, and I saw the official's hat come off.
The receiver for the Skins, Desmond Briscoe, had stepped out of bounds. And I don't think he realized it because he was still trying to make himself available to White. Had White thrown it to him, it would have been a penalty because you can't do that. And the official threw his hat on the sideline to notate the fact that if the guy touched the football, it was a penalty.
2nd and 10 now. Toss outside, and Thompson gets tripped up, falls forward for a couple of yards and bring up a 3rd down and 7 now for Washington.
Washington continuing to pound the football, and why not? So successful at over 200 yards rushing in the first half. They're going to stick with that. And I think if I'm Mike Shanahan, I like what I see in Pat White as well, his ability to run the read option. They may find themselves in a position in Washington like they do in Buffalo with Jeff Toole. I mean, you're not going to let that guy go or put him on the practice squad.
We head into the 4th quarter. It's the Redskins 23, Bills 7. We'll be back after this network timeout with the final stanza. The Mall on Washington, 23-7 Redskins over the Bills as we head into the 4th quarter. Hopkins riding the bike over there, trying to stay warm as Pat White sets up to play a little quarterback here on 3rd down and 7. Keelan Williams in the backfield next to him. White lets it go and has his man Nick Williams, who had beat the coverage by Butler, to the sideline. And That is another Redskins first down.
And that was a great route, great throw. As you watch here, once again, the Bills' defensive backs playing off coverage, and Butler just hitting caught with his feet frozen. And he's kind of waited for Williams to get close to him. Williams at full speed broke out of it. Trying to catch up to that, you just can't do it with your feet still.
Thompson hits the middle of the line again. Runs right into Jerron Gilbert. Stopped after a gain of 3. Been pretty much all Redskins here this afternoon. Second and 7. White to throw. Shoots the slant, incomplete. Ball was tipped by Gilbert at the line of scrimmage. And that's why it didn't get through there to the intended receiver, Dante Stallworth.
And Justin Rogers on the coverage. This Bills defense, who has looked so good in its ability to pressure the quarterback, has seen a lot of quick throws, a lot of quick dropbacks, 3-step drops by the Redskins. Redskins obviously seeing that film and not wanting their quarterbacks to hang on to the football, but in their ability to run the football, their play action has allowed them to stand back there and make some pretty long throws even as well.
It's been a difference. Doughton with the pressure, but White gets it away to Nick Williams. Williams gets the first down. Roby finally gets him down.
I don't think that was a first down. Williams' knees came down and they gave him the forward progress across the line. You'll watch here, the line to gain is past the yard line. There his knees are down, and they gave him the bounce all the way up to the 6-yard line, and he was down at about the 8, which is well before the first down marker.
First and goal from the 6. Chris Thompson had to wait for the football, cuts it back, and runs into some trouble. Good pursuit down the line by Cross. Azan Cross and Doughton.
Yeah, you'll see one of the reasons why the Bills can't get that backside shut off is because they have running quarterbacks on the Redskins, and they have to be aware of the bootlegs. So as the backside guy comes in and tries to cave in the cutback, they have to also be aware that the quarterback may hold on to it, and that would open up the entire other side of the field with no defenders. So they can't really fight the cutback on certain defenses when the quarterback has been such a part of the running game.
And that's where your inside linebackers have to pick up that cutback slack and not be flying out of there when the ball is going away from you. Jonathan Meeks puts the stops to Chris Thompson just inside the 2-yard line. Bring up a 3rd and goal from just outside the 1 for the Redskins.
I think Pat White's going to feel really good about how he has played in this football game.
He disappeared for a while, so it seemed anyway, off of my radar.
Well, that's because Rex Grossman came down.
They
kept yo-yoing those 2 guys in and out of there.
Good stop on the goal line as Terrell Troop steps up along with Chris White, and they slam Chris Thompson. Chris White does not get in.
I watched Chris White during training camp, and he is a really good short yardage linebacker. He steps up into the point of attack, and right at the line of scrimmage, right at the goal line, holds the running back out. I saw him do it in the live scrimmage at St. John Fisher, and he did it right there against the Redskins. Good short yardage linebacking play inside.
Here they go, 4th down and goal. And they go backwards. Oh no, he slid off the outside, and Keelan Williams.
Once again, the Bills didn't shed the blockers, and they allowed him to just slip around. They couldn't find him.
Had him bottled up, Steve. They had him stopped, and he still found a way.
That's one of the times when the Buffalo Bills actually did win the line of scrimmage. Watch as the penetrate. They push the offensive lineman back into him, and they just can't get a grip.
Nobody closed the back door.
And he gets a better look at it here at the backside. And you see Dangerfield jump back inside to try and help, and he gets right around where Dangerfield should have been. Jordan Dangerfield, the safety, jumped inside to try and help the push. Should have stayed outside.
So Forbath will attempt and does make it 30 now for Washington. 30-7 over Buffalo here in the fourth. 11:05 to go. With a local break coming at you, Bills need some kind of strong finish. Redskins up over the Bills, 30-7. A little over 11 minutes left in this ball game. Last three Bills series, in fact, all three Bills series of this half, 3 and outs. As John Potter has it now in his hands, will tee it up. Brad Smith back to return for Buffalo. Physically dominating performance by the Redskins here this afternoon. Potter hangs it high. Coming out 1 yard deep is Brad Smith. Makes a couple of moves. Flag comes down as Smith takes it out to the 17.
Lots of flags came down.
Illegal block in the back, number 89. Return team, half the distance to the goal. First down.
Chris Gregg with the penalty. That'll back the Bills up half the distance to the goal. We'll take a local timeout. 10:59 to go. Bills trail 30-7. 30-7 Washington over Buffalo. Ray Bentley alongside Steve Tasker. Week 3 of the preseason. Mike Catalana down on the sidelines. Bringing it to us from there is Jeff Toole. Steps in, and the Bills offense has no first downs here in the second half. 0 for 3 on third downs. In fact, it's been 3 possessions, 3 and outs, and now they're backed up inside their own 5-yard line after that penalty on the return. Choice in the backfield. Takes it off the right side, and Choice finds a little bit of room, gets it out, a little breathing room. Ricky Elmore makes the tackle as the Bills will line up at the 8-yard line. Second down and 6. Toole takes a shot, and he had a man open down there. Goodwin had run past Jerome Murphy, and it was just slightly overthrown.
Well, he got behind the defense, no question about that. He got some separation. You see there, that's what they got to do. They get beat, they start to reach out there, and Murphy tried to reach out and get a piece of him. They got a penalty in the first half because of it. Goodwin still couldn't pull that in, but it's a good sign that they can get that separation, but you got to connect on those.
5 shots down the field today for the Bills. 0 for 5, but they do have a couple of penalties called on that.
That's going to bring up a fourth down right there as Gregg is short of the first down.
Let's go down to the sidelines and Mike Catalana.
Guys, we got an opportunity to see Marquise Goodwin go deep, and it's thought to be difficult to overthrow him. His speed spectacular, timed at 4.27 in the 40. We saw him on that kick return. They're finding ways to try to get him into the offense, but going deep is going to be his forte.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, you can't overthrow them in practice, but you get in the game, and those quarterbacks got adrenaline too, and they can put a little bit extra on it.
Powell gets the kick away. Thompson, who had a huge return the last time, takes it at his own 31. Flag comes out as Meeks forces Thompson out of bounds.
There's a penalty right there at the point where it looks like it's going to be a block in the back. I'm surprised they threw that flag.
It was a close one.
It was close.
Chip Reeves, I believe, is the guilty party.
If the guy's healthy enough to get up and walk away, they don't call any penalties that are close.
It was DeMarco Sampson who got hit on that particular play. They're talking about it pretty good. I've seen him pick things up before after conversations like these.
They do. There may be 2 penalties on the play. There's only one flag that we see.
Yeah. They might be arguing over the call.
Yeah, they might. Whitehat might overrule him.
Yeah, come We have fouls on both teams.
Oh, there you go.
The legal block in the back, number 18 of the return team. Personal foul, face mask on the kicking team. Those penalties offset at the spot of the receiving team's foul. First down.
Fair enough. We'll take a network timeout. 9:37 to go as the Bills trail Washington 30-7. It's the excitement at Ralph Wilson Stadium on Sunday, September 15th, as the Bills host Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. In addition to the action on the field, a tribute will be made to the Buffalo Bills Wall of Fame members. That's Sunday, September 15th at Ralph Wilson Stadium. To purchase tickets, just log on to buffalobills.com. And Rex Grossman takes his turn at quarterback. He's been alternating every series in this second half with Pat White. Chris Thompson in the backfield. He'll pick up the blitzer. Chris White has knocked him over, and this ball is thrown up for grabs and incomplete. Well, intended for Chip Reeves. Rex Grossman paid the price. It actually was Moats coming, not Chris White.
Yeah, they sent a double linebacker, inside line. Both linebackers go right up the middle of the offensive formation. Finally, somebody gets there. They're coming right up the pipe. See White.
It was White, and Moats was there as well.
Moats was there as well. They sent both guys from the inside backer spot right up the tube.
2nd and 10. Toss sweep to the outside. Thompson runs into Izon Cross and Terrell True after a gain of 3.
Bills have had a hard time keeping the Redskins from converting third downs. It seems like the Skins, what their plan is, have the quarterback throw it right at the sticks or a yard past the sticks and have everybody be available at some point right there, and he just picks his guy.
3rd and 7. Bills bring the pressure. Home run shot. And Grossman overthrows everybody. He was looking for Chip Reeves. He had some good coverage on the play by Cresden Butler, and the Bills forced the punt to 3 and out.
And Grossman didn't look happy with the way that play developed. He threw that ball out there thinking somebody was going to run under it, and it just wasn't going to happen. Reeves was nowhere in the vicinity.
Savraka set to punt it back to Nikel Roby. Roby drifts back to his own 5-yard line. Can't make up his mind, and that's always a bad sign. He'll get a 4-yard return. Nick Sundberg, the long snapper, makes the tackle. A 55-yard punt, 4-yard return, and it brings us, Steve, to our Snapple Real Fact.
Well, it's that time of year the rosters have to be cut to 75 by Tuesday at 4 p.m. Now, most of the clubs around the NFL are starting to release guys. As we spoke, there was a handful of guys released by the Bills this year. The Bills are just at about 80 or right around 80 guys. So there'll be another 5 by Tuesday. And some teams will actually go a little bit past that or whatever. But they want to keep, it used to be different than that. But now they like to keep about 75 guys for that last preseason game because no head coaches want to play their starter. Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and all those guys don't want those guys to play and be lost for the season opener. So they need enough players to finish a game while having enough room in the roster to hold guys out that are near and dear to them. The rest of us are expendable.
Good rule, yes. Little wham play up the gut, Choice runs into a wall, give him a yard on the play. More about cut down day from our sideline reporter, Mike Catalano.
Guys, in 9 of the last 11 years, the Bills have had at least one undrafted free agent make the roster. Last year, 623 guys undrafted got an opportunity to try out. We were thinking Jeff Toole seems to be a lock, and there may be others to make this team.
Thank you, Mike. The pass from Toole out of the end zone to Chris Gregg, the tight end. He gets stopped just shy of the first down.
Gregg, one of the guys we asked Doug Marrone about, he says the thing that he's done better is blocked. He's better at the point of attack than he had been. He's blocking better than Doug Marrone thought he would. So if he can catch passes, that's a huge plus for the offense.
That one thrown behind the intended receiver, Dorn Dickerson. And boy, the Bills offense here in the second half, 18 plays, 36 total yards.
Yeah, it has not been pretty. Jeff Toole didn't really think he was going to be playing until this point in the game. Went in early in the first half and has been in ever since. This was really a full game for him. And you'd think that if you think about the way he's practiced, he did not practice well at St. John Fisher, but then when they get into live scrimmage and obviously in the preseason games that we've been talking about, he's played very well.
Punt carries Thompson inside his own 30. And he'll get tackled on the play by Chris Hogan, making a special teams play. And we will take a local break as the Bills, with 7:26 left, trail the Redskins 30-7. 30-7, Washington over Buffalo here. It started out, Grossman hit a 7-yard pass to Garcon, up 7-0. The Bills came back and got a 2-yard C.J. Spiller run. And game on, 7-7 here in the first quarter. Since that time, Steve, it's been a dominant performance by Washington.
And all centers around their offensive line, their running game, the read option, and the play of that guy right there, Pat White. You got to tip your hat. He's played very well. He seems very comfortable running the read option, and that has given the Bills defense problems. And while you look at the Bills defense, they've been really good against drop back passing in this preseason. They have not faced a running game or read option the way they faced it today, and it gave them some problems.
White 7 of 14 throwing the ball for 96 yards. They also got the Bills for a 14-yard touchdown run as Thompson takes it around the right side for a couple of yards. He gets stopped, Steve, by Jonathan Meeks.
Sorry about that, Ray. Wait, one of the things that happens in this, particularly when you get these young guys in here trying to make the squad, and you see it on this play, and a lot of others, the reason that cutback gets there is because guys are overrunning the play. They see the ball bounce to the outside, and they're trying to get to the sideline fast, and they overrun and they forget that they've got guys out there to do, that's not their play to make. If it goes to the sideline, it's not your play to make. Stay inside and don't let the guy cut back, and the Bills have forgotten that a lot of times today.
Just got to do your job. 2nd and 8. And they take it off the left side, another big hole. Thompson kicks it outside, and Meeks will run him out. That's Keelan Williams this time getting the carry.
Yeah, that play was very well blocked up front. We talked about guys over pursuing, but the Redskins are going to come down and get a nice couple of blocks right on the outside and get that corner, and it's going to turn into a big run. See, White just misses it right there. He got a little bit held up by the guard right there. The guy reached out and looked like grabbed his face mask and took his attention away from the running back, but White should have made that play, and the guy just got right by him.
And the line was unbalanced, and the Bills never kicked it over, and that created some of the problems. Here they do it again to the right side, and they'll run that way again. Cut back by Williams, and he cuts right back into a host of Bills tacklers.
The Redskins do it now. They've got a plan for it, and they've got a reason for doing it, but I'm surprised in the fourth quarter of a 23-point with a 23-point lead, they're starting to show unbalanced stuff. Now, I don't know that they showed a lot of that in the preseason, but that seems like something you might not want to roll out.
Something they do and have done historically, so I doubt that anyone's going to be truly surprised by it, but they like to load up the side. They've done that forever. I remember a Super Bowl they did that once in a while. 2nd and 9, Keelan Williams, toss to the short side, and he kind of falls over Jamal Westerman along with Jerron Gilbert.
Once again, White out there to get in Chris White out in the middle of it, just a little bit overrunning it. You watch as Chris White comes out from the inside. Westerman sets the edge of the defense, push it in, and see how Chris White is all the way past the play. And the key thing is to stay inside out and let him go all the way to the sideline. And when he tries to jump up and step up for an extra 1 yard, you don't let him do it. You push him on out of bounds, and that's the play to make. Chris White is just giving him that cutback, and it turns into a 3-yard gain instead of a 1-yard gain.
Williams finds a big hole off the left side, wins his way through the secondary before he is brought down by Williams. Being Duke Williams. Gain of 22 on the play, and
once again, this is one of the few times in the read option where Pat White has handed it off. Watch, this is the first option. He just gives it to him. It's a great read, and it's exactly the right play. The quarterback makes that decision because the play's open, and that's why you see the success. First time today, the Bills have left that option open to him, and he took it.
1st and 10 from the Bills' 14. Try the left side again with Chris Thompson. Check that. I believe that is Keelan Williams who had the ball. No, Thompson, 35, not 25. That's what I get for not trusting my spotter, Bill Garrity here.
Redskins perfectly content to take all the play clock, pound the football down as close as they can.
Boy, it seems like they've been running downhill all night.
Yeah, they really have. The Bills defense has been on the field the entire second half.
A lot of arm tackling. And that's not a good sign. 2nd and 5. Thompson takes the toss. Gets to the edge, but is not able to get around the edge. Duke Williams comes up and fills that gap from the safety spot.
Well, Duke Williams came up and kept him from the inside out and forced him to go deep and wider and wider, and finally ran out of room and got him pushed out of bounds. It ended up being a loss. So many times as we've been talking about, the Bills defense is going to over pursue, but then this time Duke Williams is going to keep it out. As the ball comes out, he's going to stay inside out and force the ball wide instead of giving a lane inside to cut back on.
That's how you run the alley right there. 3rd and 9. White hands it off to Keelan Williams. Williams breaks an arm tackle in the backfield, but gets it up about to the 9-yard line. Chris White on the stop along with the rest of the Bills defense, bring up a 4th down.
You know, Ray, you played linebacker for a long time, and you know what it's like. You get out there, your instincts tell you if they're going to the sideline, get there first. Try and outrun them to get there. What you have to learn as a defensive player is to know where your own guys are, know which play and run them into your guys. You don't have to tackle him, but you can still make the play by herding him to the point of the field where you want him to go. That's the same way with defending this read option. You make the decision for the quarterback. And if you can do those things, your defense is going to be sound. You may give up some small gains, but not the big play.
2 minutes left here in the ball game. We'll take a network timeout. Redskins over the Bills 30-7. 2 minutes left in the ball game. Washington 30, Buffalo 7. The Redskins have it goal to go here. 4 down, 4 yards to get to the end zone. Pat White in at quarterback. I'm on the other end of the field entirely. It's 4th and 4 for the first down, not the touchdown. Keelan Williams at tailback. And he gets bottled up, nowhere to go as the Bills defense steps up. Duke Williams leads the charge along with Arthur Moats to stop Washington on that 4th down.
That'll bring Jeff Toole and the offense back on the field. See if they can have just a little bit of success. Maybe wash out the sour taste in their mouth with maybe a 2-minute drill. Get some first downs that have been hard to come by here in the second half.
Well, and throughout the game, Buffalo just 13% conversion rate on 3rd downs, 2 of 15. They missed their last 8 in a row as Zach Brown makes his first carry of the game.
Yeah, you talk about these players coming in. Jeff Toole, who's a quarterback trying to, find his way, make a roster spot for him, which we both believe he has. And a great quarterback once told me during his rookie season, he learned a lot of really good football lessons in the 4th quarter of some really bad football games. So there's still a lot to be learned, and every time you take a snap at this point, it's a lesson to be learned for Jeff Toole and a lot of the other young guys out there.
Zach Brown just got a lesson off the right side.
And there are hard lessons to be learned.
Some are harder than others.
Some are harder than others.
This is a tough one here today. All the optimism. The Bills starting out the preseason looking very, very good with the tempo of the offense, the quarterback pressuring from the defense, and just a solid play, but not today as Doug Marrone's squad has run into a wall here that is the Washington Redskins.
Yeah, FedEx Field has not been kind to the Bills today.
3rd and 5. hand it off the left side, and Brown gets lit up in the backfield as Marvin Burdette shows up. And that will be it. Nobody has to do anything here, I don't believe. And they'll let that clock run out, put an end to the undefeated preseason for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, it's a disappointing turnout for the Buffalo Bills, but even in this kind of disappointing showing, this is a team that still has to feel good about the direction they're headed. No question that the coaching staff is going to convince these guys that with a little game planning and a little better feel, and the number ones playing the entire game, they're going to be able to hang in there with big physical teams like this. And we'll have to. And they came out. It's interesting. It throws another wrench into the works for this game on Thursday, coming up against the Detroit Lions. And Jeff Toole may be the guy for 4 quarters. As we'll have to check on the health of Kevin Cobb, because there's no way E.J. Manuel's going to play in that game. They wouldn't risk it even if he felt healthy. And I think that's where we sit. We got another game to go, and we'll see where the roster cuts take us.
Well, it's time for our Blue Rock Energy player of the game, and it's Jeff Toole. And you had a nice rationale as to why. Just the fact that he's had a great camp, has stepped up, and he's answered the bell every time they've called him out.
Yeah, and he's ran the offense efficiently. He's made some good throws. I think you and I both have been really impressed with him. And I mentioned earlier, there have been times in St. John Fisher during training camp when he did not practice well and looked really bad. But when the chips were down, when they were in live scrimmages and in the games that we've seen, he has played very well and very efficiently. And I think he has a lot to be proud of and a lot to look forward to as a pro. We'll see where his career goes. But let's face it, he got off to a nice start in the last 3 games.
So we have a final score here in Landover, Maryland, FedEx Field. It's the Washington Redskins 30, Buffalo Bills 7. We'll be back to wrap things up after this network timeout.